Hello everyone and welcome. In this lecture we'll learn about creating arrays. Let's start by importing numpy as np. So we'll import the numpy module as np. Okay. The simplest way to create arrays is by using the method called array. Let's see how we can do that. Let's create a list and save it in a variable called x. And this list has the elements 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So we can call, numpy has a method called array. And by simply calling the array method, we can create an array from this list object x. So np.array, then we simply pass our list x. Okay, now we have an array. This is a one-dimensional array. Similarly, we can say np.array and then pass the list itself. So 4, 5, and 6. We can do that also. Now we have an array, and we can save the result in a variable. Let's say array x, and if we call our array x object, we get our array 4, 5, and 6. And we can use the method type to find out the type of our object, array x. We see that it's a numpy array object. And numpy has a method called nDimension and shape. This will tell us the number of dimensions and shape of our array object. For instance, we have our array x that we created. If we call the nDimensions method, we see that it's a one-dimensional array. And similarly, we can call the shape method, and we see that it's a 3x1 array. That's the shape. Okay, we can also pass more than one list of equal lengths to create an array object. What do I mean by that? So we can say we can create an array, np.array, and then pass. Earlier we only passed a list containing elements, and in this case we'll pass two lists of equal lengths. So the first list will have the elements, let's say 2, 4, 6, and 8. And for our second list, let's pass the elements 1, 3, 5, and 7. So this will create an array for us, a two-dimensional array. And let's save this in a variable called array 2D. And similarly, we can call our array 2D object. We have our array, and to find out the shape and number of dimensions of our array, we can call the number of dimensions method. We see that it's 2. And we can also call the shape method to find out the shape of our array. We see that it's a 2x4 shape. That means we have 2 rows and then 4 elements in each row. Great. There are also other methods that we can use to create arrays. So for example, we have methods called zeros, we have methods called ones, we have methods called empty. We'll look at each of this method to create an array. So this zeros method will create an array of zeros, of specified length. What do I mean by that? So numpy np dot zeros, that's the method name, and then we pass a number, let's say 5. This will create an array of zeros containing 5 zeros. So let's run this. So we have an array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a method. It's called the Derose method. Let's see another example. We can also create a zeros array np.zeros, and then we can pass any shape that we want. For instance, we can say 4 by 7. So this will create a zeros array whose shape is 4 by 7. Basically 4 rows by 7 columns. So we have 4 rows and then we have 7 columns in each list inside our array. Next, let's look at ones method. So we can create an array of ones using numpy's ones method. So np.ones, then we can simply pass, let's say 13. This will create an array of ones. Here the elements are 13, and similarly we can do np.ones, and we can create a 2 by 6 array of ones, so that it will have 2 rows and 6 columns. Good. Now let's see how we can create an array using the empty method. So this empty method will create an array without initializing any values. So when we create this array, it will not, we don't have to specify any value. So np, let's say an example, np.empty, that's the method, and then we can pass the kind of array that we want to create. For instance, we can say we can create a 3 by 3 by 4. So this will create an empty arrays of 3, and then each one of them, each array in our, each list in our array will have 3 rows, and then each list will have 4 columns. Let me show you. So the first 3 is this 1, 2, then 3, and each, so this one dimension here has 3 rows, and then each list has 4 columns or elements, right? That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. And if we save this in a variable called array empty, we can say array empty dot number of dimensions, 3 dimensions, and then array empty, we can call the shape method on it. We see that it's a 3 by 3 by 4. So we have our array empty object. So this is 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimensions. So it's a 3 dimension by 3 rows, right? And each dimension has 4 columns. So this is how we can create arrays by using the method empty. Another way to create an array is by using the method called arrange. There's another method called arrange. Earlier we saw the method array. Now we look at the method arrange. So this simply we can simply create an array by calling the arrange method, and then we'll pass the number, let's say 12, np.arrange 12. So this is a built-in method. So this will create an array with elements 0 through 11. This is similar to the range function. So np.arrange 12, let's run it. So now we have an array with elements from 0 through 11. We can also say np.arrange, let's say 2 to 40 in step sizes of, let's say 5. So now we have an array with step sizes of 5 from 2 to 40. So these are some of the ways that we can create arrays. To summarize, we saw how to create arrays in this lecture. We started by using the array method, and then we looked at how we can find the number of dimensions and the shape of an array. We saw that we could pass more than one list with the same length to create an array, and then we saw how to create arrays using the methods ones, zeros, and empty. And finally, we saw how to create arrays using the arrange method. Thank you, everyone.